Xiao Yan is forced into a deadly standoff with an ancient fire dragon who tries to take his chaos great monarch flame, risking the extinction of all heavenly flames. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. What is this place? Looking at the scene in front of him, Xiao Yan was deeply shocked. There was actually such a strange space underneath the cave of a heavenly beast. Recovering from his shock, Xiao Yan impatiently looked at the Xiao Yi in front of him. At this moment, the Xiao Yi also had a blank expression, but his eyes unconsciously looked towards the magma lake. He threw the questions in his heart to the Xiao Yi and waited for a long time. Only then did Xiao Yan get a vague answer from little Yi. He was summoned here by a mysterious force. Looking at the endless sea of magma around him, Xiao Yan did not feel any heat. In his heart, he somewhat believed what the Xiao Yi said. The Xiao Yi looked around with a solemn expression. Then its body trembled as if it had been struck by lightning. Its body emitted a golden red light that wrapped around Xiao Yan. Under Xiao Yan's shocked gaze, the Xiao Yi leapt into the boiling magma lake. What entered his eyes was a bright red color. The extremely viscous magma was squeezing Xiao Yan from all directions, causing Xiao Yan to almost suffocate. It wasn't as hot as he had imagined. Xiao Yan struggled to open his eyes, and the origin monarch qi in his body gushed out, forming a protective barrier in front of him to resist the intense impact of the magma. Huge bubbles appeared in the magma lake from time to time, and then they quickly exploded. The moment the bubbles exploded, the surrounding magma seemed to have received a huge blow, causing ripples to spread in all directions. Sensing the huge impact caused by the explosion of the bubble, Xiao Yan could not help but feel a trace of coldness in his heart. Although his body was protected by the scarlet golden flames, Xiao Yan could still vaguely feel the endless high temperature. He estimated that even if a true sovereign entered the bubble, he would probably die instantly. After advancing for an unknown period of time, Xiao Yan could feel that the surrounding magma was getting thicker and thicker until it almost solidified into a solid. Just as Xiao Yan felt that it was getting harder and harder to breathe, the endless red color in front of him suddenly disappeared, and what replaced it was a pitch-black, endless space. A faint light was emitted from the pitch-black space. Xiao Yan looked towards the source of the light. When he saw the object in front of him clearly, his pupils suddenly shrank to the size of a pinhole. In front of his eyes, a shocking fiery red egg was quietly floating in the air. The surface of the egg was covered with mysterious patterns, and the bottom of the egg was burning with raging flames. The flames were brown in color, and wherever the flames passed, spatial fragments would fall down and be swallowed by the brown flames, turning into ashes. When Xiao Yan saw the egg for the first time, he felt as if he was looking at an ancient giant dragon that dominated the universe. Behind the giant dragon was an endless sea of fire, and within the sea of fire, the fire was soaring into the sky. The giant dragon was hovering above a continuous volcano as if it was going to soar into the sky. The giant dragon's eyes flashed with the starry sky like a part of the star sky. Xiao Yan's eyes were fixed on by the giant dragon as if he was being locked by an ancient ferocious beast. His breathing became rapid. All of a sudden, the giant dragon let out a furious roar towards the sky, and an incomparably vast qi rushed towards Xiao Yan. The moment the huge dragon's aura rushed towards Xiao Yan, the domineering aura that was born in Xiao Yan's body, in fighting qi continent, unconsciously erupted and clashed with the dragon's aura. Bang! It was as if the sound of glass shattering could be heard. The huge egg let out a slight rumble, and then Xiao Yan came back to his senses. He took a deep breath. Cold sweat immediately broke out on Xiao Yan's back. He couldn't help but feel shocked in his heart. What level of heavenly beast was the predecessor of this huge egg? Just a single glance was enough to make his soul almost lose its way. Xiao Yan shifted his gaze to the surroundings of the huge egg. When he saw that there was a fire dragon that was dozens of feet long, wrapped around the huge egg, he couldn't help but be startled. Although the fire dragon was far from the dragon aura of the ancient giant dragon that appeared in front of Xiao Yan just now, It was more or less the same as the former. Its entire body was covered in flames, and its body was full of strength as it swayed. As soon as the Xiao Yi and Xiao Yan entered the pitch-black space, the fire dragon quickly opened its eyes. Its gaze first fell upon the Xiao Yi, and a trace of excitement flashed through its eyes. After that, it looked at Xiao Yan with a cold expression. The fire dragon let out a low roar, and the dragon's roar resounded in Xiao Yan's ears. Xiao Yan's body began to churn violently like a raging ocean. The origin Monarch Qi was completely out of his control, and it started to crazily move within his body. Xiao Yan felt a muffled buzzing sound coming from his head, and he immediately felt a stifling sensation in his chest. He forcefully swallowed a mouthful of hot blood. Caught off guard, Xiao Yan looked at the fire dragon. His eyes were filled with anger. If it wasn't for the protection of the glazed monarch flame, he might have already fallen here. He coughed and clenched his fists tightly. His heart was filled with vigilance and puzzlement. The fire dragon turned a blind eye to Xiao Yan's furious eyes. It looked at Xiao Yan with a surprised look. It jumped up from the huge egg and moved its tail slightly, arriving in front of Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan finally saw the full appearance of the fire dragon. The fire dragon's body was covered in flames. As its body swayed, wisps of flames rose into the sky, causing the space around it to slightly distort. Under the flames were dragon scales that were glowing with a cold light. On the enormous dragon head, two sharp dragon horns seemed to be able to pierce through the sky. It was even more ferocious than the ancient void dragon that Xiao Yan had seen before. The fire dragon flew in front of Xiao Yan, suddenly speaking in a human voice. "Human, you are the owner of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame." Chaos Great Monarch Flame. Xiao Yan could not help but be slightly stunned when he heard this name for the first time. The fury in his eyes also quickly faded, replaced by endless doubt as he turned to look at the Xiao Yi on his shoulder. The Xiao Yi was restless as the fire dragon flew forward. It seemed to have a fear that came from the bottom of its heart. Its eyes were filled with a trace of reverence as it looked at the brown flame underneath the huge egg. Sensing Xiao Yan looking at it, the Xiao Yi shook its head blankly. This was also the first time it had heard of the name Chaos Great Monarch Flame. "What's wrong? You don't even know the name of this monarch flame when you possess it." The fire dragon's voice rumbled like thunder, resounding in Xiao Yan's ears. Seeing that the fire dragon was no longer overbearing, Xiao Yan could only say, "I am a fighting monarch that ascended from the lower realms. The flame I possess is a heavenly flame from the lower realms. I wonder what the Chaos Great Monarch Flame you are talking about is." The fire dragon mused for a moment after hearing this. It was a long while before it slowly opened its mouth to speak, while Xiao Yan was feeling uneasy. There are several kinds of monarch flames in the great world that can incinerate the entire world. Each of them possess the might to burn the sky and boil the sea. There is a type of monarch flame that is called a Chaos Great Monarch Flame. The aura of this monarch flame is almost similar to that of your heavenly flame. It should be a Chaos Great Monarch Flame. Xiao Yan was deeply shocked by this short sentence of the fire dragon. He looked at the blank and ignorant Xiao Yi on his shoulder. His eyes were immediately filled with an endless fiery heat. This fellow was actually a kind of powerful flame in the great world. The fire dragon looked at the Xiao Yi. A trace of flame flashed in its eyes. The Xiao Yi gently hummed and involuntarily turned into a crimson gold flame. The fire dragon's dragon claw moved, and the crimson gold flame automatically flew in front of the former. The fire in the fire dragon's eyes became even more intense. After looking at it for a while, it suddenly let out a surprised sound. A trace of shock flashed across its eyes, and it remained silent for a long time. Xiao Yan's heart tightened. Before he could ask anything, the fire dragon suddenly spoke. "Have you encountered other monarch flames before?" Seeing Xiao Yan shake his head, the doubt in the fire dragon's eyes intensified. Until one of the dragon claws reached into the scarlet golden flame. The doubts turned into endless joy. The fire dragon couldn't help but let out a long roar towards the sky. Its voice was filled with excitement. After a long while, the fire dragon finally calmed down. He looked at Xiao Yan with endless joy in his eyes. Human King needs to borrow your Chaos Great Monarch Flame. King needs your Chaos Great Monarch Flame. When he said this, the fire dragon couldn't hide the excitement in his voice. Borrow. Xiao Yan was slightly stunned. He glanced at the Xiao Yi, and a layer of caution quickly appeared in his eyes. Looking at the fire dragon, whose body was trembling due to excitement, Xiao Yan said in a deep voice, "What do you mean?" The fire dragon's eyes flashed a trace of anger, but it did not flare up in the end. He said in a low voice, "Tens of thousands of years ago, I experienced a catastrophe in Forest Domain. It caused countless experts to fall. King was lucky that he did not die. Because of this, his strength was greatly reduced and his origin was severely damaged. He had no choice but to return to his original state and use the last of his origin power to create this chaotic space. He used his own origin fire to cultivate here. After 10,000 years, I have only recovered a tiny bit of my original strength. If I want to fully recover, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of years it will take. However, with the help of the Monarch, Flame King's strength can be restored very quickly. It was because of this that King sensed the aura of the Monarch Flame that he summoned the fire spirit of the chaos. Great Monarch Flame. Xiao Yang calmed his mind and calmed his mind. It took him a long time to sort out what the fire dragon had said. After that, the doubt in his eyes became even greater. Then may I know how you are going to borrow it? Let my main body enter the fire source of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. The fire dragon stared fixedly at the Chaos Great Monarch Flame formed by the Xiao Yi. Its gaze was as sharp as lightning, as if it had shot straight into the deepest part of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. Fire Source. Xiao Yang grinned. It was another unknown name. Fire Source is the highest temperature among all Monarch Flames. It is also the source of all Monarch Flames. It is like a wick. As long as the fire source is not extinguished, the Monarch Flame can be reborn. King needs to enter the source of the fire and borrow the source energy of the fire to heal his injuries. Xu Yan frowned. He could vaguely feel that something was wrong. He immediately asked, "What if the fire source is destroyed?" The fire dragon hesitated for a moment and said vaguely, "It won't. Every Monarch Flame was born from the origin of the heaven and earth. It was a sacred object of the heaven and earth. It will never grow again. Moreover, the source of the fire is the origin of a Monarch Flame. Unless you suffer an irreparable injury, it won't be extinguished easily." FCK. Xiao Yan couldn't help but curse after hearing this. Did this guy think that he was a rookie who had just entered the world for the first time? If one wanted to enter the fire source to cultivate, one would need to use one's toe to know that one had to absorb the energy of the fire source. At that time, the Chaos Great Monarch Flame would suffer some injuries, and it might even endanger its source. This fellow spoke with ease. Then if the fire source is extinguished, what will happen to the Chaos Great Monarch Flame? He held back the rejection that came out of his mouth. Xiao Yan thought for a moment and said, although he didn't know how powerful the true body of the fire dragon was, however, he could figure out some clues from the brown flame that made Xiao Yi's, which made one's heart palpitate. According to Xiao Yan's guess, this brown flame was likely another kind of Monarch Flame, although he did not understand why the fire dragon needed to borrow the fire source of the weaker Chaos Great Monarch Flames. But if it didn't cause too much damage to the Xiao Yi, it could help the fire dragon recover its strength. At that time, it might be able to obtain a great help. The fire dragon pondered for a moment, then shook its head and said, "Don't worry. The Chaos Great Monarch Flame is a rare flame of the heaven and earth. It's not comparable to ordinary flames. The fire source won't extinguish. Even if it's extinguished, it won't have much of an impact. This fire dragon was formed by the essence of the egg that had been recuperating for 10,000 years. Although it could speak human language, it obviously didn't have a meticulous mind." The vague answer was immediately heard by Xiao Yan. A bad feeling flashed across Xiao Yan's heart. He looked at the fire dragon, whose eyes were somewhat wandering. After thinking for a moment, he knew that the matter was definitely not as simple as what the fire dragon had said. Just as Xiao Yan was thinking, the somewhat perturbed voice of the Xiao Yi suddenly sounded in his mind. Master, I know a little about the fire source. Xiao Yan's brows slightly twitched. His expression did not change at all, but he asked anxiously in his heart. The source of the fire of the Monarch flame is the most fundamental thing of the Monarch flame. If the source of the fire is extinguished, the Monarch flame will disappear from the world. All the weaker flames related to this Monarch flame will also disappear at the same time. After listening to Little Yi's words, Xiao Yan's expression finally changed. He looked at the fire dragon with an ashen face. Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with anger. As expected, although Xiao Yan had thought of many consequences after the fire source of the chaos, Great Monarch Flame was extinguished. Such a serious consequence was still out of his expectations. According to the Xiao Yi, if the fire source was extinguished, not only would the Xiao Yi disappear from the world, even the flames related to the Xiao Yi would not be spared. However, the current Xiao Yi was the fusion of 22 types of alien flames in the Fighting Qi continent. Before he ascended, Xiao Yan had used the divine ability of the Fighting Monarch to separate each of the 22 types of alien flames into a Dao Child fire, so that the alien flame could be passed down forever in the Fighting Qi continent. However, those tiny flames were still closely related to the current Xiao Yi. If the fire source of the Xiao Yi was extinguished, not only did the Chaos Great Monarch flame in the Xiao Yi, which was a great world, disappear, but it also had all the heavenly flames in the Fighting Qi continent. This method of destroying the heavenly flames in the Fighting Qi continent was too vicious. No, I absolutely won't agree. Xiao Yan's words of refusal were blurted out without hesitation. If the fire source was extinguished, not to mention that the Xiao Yi was his strongest helper and best friend, Xiao Yan would never agree to the dissipation of the alien flame. It was an important way to become a sovereign in Fighting Qi continent, and it was essential to refine high-grade medicine pills. Xiao Yan could hardly imagine what would happen if all the heavenly flames in Fighting Qi continent were to disappear. How much dimmer would the future of the Fighting Qi continent be? Therefore, Xiao Yan's refusal was firm, and his tone was full of unquestionable firmness. The fire dragon was also irritated because Xiao Yan refused to agree. Its dragon body kept twisting, and the flames that occasionally appeared on its dragon scales showed the anxiety and restlessness in Xiao Yan's heart. After waiting patiently for a long time and hearing Xiao Yan's refusal without hesitation, the fire dragon roared as if it had detonated a bomb. Its dragon claw squeezed through the air, and Xiao Yan's expression changed. He couldn't control himself and came in front of the fire dragon. The hot dragon breath hit his face. Seeing Xiao Yan being pulled up, the Chaos Great Monarch flame in the fire dragon's hand was about to burn intensely. When the latter forcefully squeezed with its dragon claw, the Chaos Great Monarch flame seemed to be confined and couldn't move at all. Xiao Yan looked at the fire dragon, which was right in front of him, and quickly calmed down. He looked at the red eyes of the fire dragon with a firm and fearless expression, and his eyes were also filled with dominance. The fire dragon's cold eyes looked at Xiao Yan for a moment and found that the human in front of him was not threatened by its dragon aura at all. The fire dragon snorted, and his deep voice was filled with anger. "Human," he said, "don't be ungrateful. King can lower his status. Being arrogant and talking to you like this is enough to show you. Do you think you can't do anything because you don't agree with King? You are too naive, too foolish. King told you that even Emperor Cultivation warriors can't stay in this place for long due to the high temperature. What's more, you're just a tiny fighting monarch. If King wants to kill you, it was as easy as blowing off dust. At that time, your Chaos Great Monarch flame will still be King's and forever. Think about it carefully." After saying that, he sent Xiao Yan flying with a dragon claw. Xiao Yan suffered a heavy blow to his chest. He glided in the air for more than 10 meters before landing on the ground. Thanks to the giant jaws, Ant King's inner armor, Xiao Yan only snorted lightly. With some difficulty, Xiao Yan stabilized the somewhat messy origin Monarch Qi in his body. He looked at the fire dragon, whose anger had yet to dissipate, and said with a smile, "Since killing me is as easy as blowing off dust, Why are you telling me so much? With your strength, you should be able to snatch my Chaos Great Monarch Flame with ease, right? Why do I need to get a promise from an ant to you? Hearing Xiaoyan's words, a hint of anger flashed across the fire dragon's eyes. It gave Xiaoyan a fierce look, and its voice trembled due to its fury. Are you forcing King to kill you? When he spoke, he looked like he wanted to swallow Xiaoyan alive. Even so, the fire dragon felt a little uneasy. Xiaoyan's words matched its thoughts. In the beginning, it wanted to kill Xiaoyan directly. But when it saw the deep relationship between the Chaos Great Monarch Flame and Xiaoyan, it had to change its mind. The Chaos Great Monarch Flame was Xiaoyan's Monarch Flame after all. It seemed that the relationship between the two of them was extremely good. If Xiaoyan was killed, the Chaos Great Monarch Flame would become hot-headed and plan to take revenge for Xiaoyan. If it couldn't suppress it a little, it would take advantage of the time when it was recuperating to activate the fire source and self-destruct. That would be very fun. Therefore, in its heart, it was better for this kid to be tactful. Just as Xiaoyan and the fire dragon were at a stalemate, some golden flames suddenly emerged from the sealed Chaos Great Monarch Flame. The golden flames seemed to have the sound of thunder. In just a moment, it broke free from the fire dragon's confinement. Taking advantage of the latter's momentary daze, the Chaos Great Monarch Flame had turned into a Xiaoyi and returned to Xiaoyan's arms. The fire dragon reacted quickly. Its dragon claws moved continuously, and some after-images flashed past. A trace of the golden flames that had yet to be extinguished was caught by the former. Just as the fire dragon was carefully sensing this trace of golden flame, the Xiaoyi had already begun communicating with Xiaoyan. Master, this fire dragon is too strong, and we are in its territory. If this continues, it won't be a solution. If it is completely angered by you, you won't be able to fight it with your current strength. Xiaoyan's face revealed a bitter smile when he heard that. He sighed and said, I know all of these, but it has been recuperating in your fire source. If the fire source is extinguished, the price will be too great. Not only will this affect me, it might even endanger the future of fighting Qi continent. This is what I'm most worried about. But the Xiaoyi was startled. Master, what are you worried about? Xiaoyan forced a smile and told the Xiaoyi about the possibility that the heavenly flame in the lower realm might disappear. The Xiaoyi nodded thoughtfully. It was silent for a moment, and then it suddenly cried out in joy. Master, do you still remember the 9 profound golden thunder? Seeing Haoyan nod blankly, nodding his head, the Xiaoyi continued. That day, after I swallowed the 9 profound golden thunder, I was no longer a simple Chaos Great Monarch Flame after my recuperation. I now have some power of thunder and lightning. The heavenly flame in the lower realm is just a single flame. If my fire source is extinguished, those heavenly flames will not dissipate. They will only weaken a little. Before he had time to carefully savor the Xiaoyi's words, the fire dragon's excited roar sounded. Brat, your chaos. Great Monarch Flame is extraordinary. The fire source is far stronger than the other Chaos Great Monarch Flames. The possibility of it being extinguished is almost non-existent. Xiaoyan was startled. Combining the words of the Xiaoyi and the fire dragon, Xiaoyan's heart began to beat rapidly. After a moment of silence, Xiaoyan said with a serious expression, Are you sure about the Xiaoyi? After hearing the Xiaoyi's affirmative answer, Xiaoyan thought for a moment and then said fiercely, If it destroys your fire source, even if I have to risk my life, I will make it pay the price. He did not notice that the Xiaoyi was touched by his words. After saying those ruthless words, Xiaoyan raised his head and looked at the excited fire dragon in the air. All right, I promise you that I will let your true body cultivate in the fire source of the Xiaoyi. The fire dragon let out a long breath. Its fury dissipated along with these words. Looking at the golden fire thread in its claw, it couldn't help but exclaim, But I have a condition. Xiaoyan's unexpected words made the fire dragon frown and said in a deep voice, Human, don't go too far. Although King really wants to recover from his injuries, you don't have the right to threaten him. Xiaoyan smiled and said, Don't worry, I won't make any unreasonable request. Since your main body wants to recuperate in the fire source of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame, you have to ensure the safety of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. The fire dragon nodded slightly. Of course. I will kill anything that threatens the Chaos Great Monarch Flame with my life. Xiao nodded his head in satisfaction when he heard that. If he met a powerful opponent in the future, he would definitely use the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. At that time, the fire dragon would have no choice but to come out. It could be considered as indirectly protecting him. With this unknown level fire dragon's bodyguard, he didn't have to worry about walking in the vast forest domain anymore, such as the small crimson fire flame wolf that had almost forced him into a desperate situation. It was just a piece of trash that could be killed with a single claw. The fire dragon glanced at Xiao, who had malicious intentions and clearly understood something. He opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say anything. With a low moan, he turned around and returned to the side of the huge egg. The Xiao followed closely behind the fire dragon and came to the side of the huge egg. In the distance, Xiao looked at the huge egg that was starting to change under the control of the fire dragon and mumbled, "I wonder if this is a blessing or a curse." Outside the cave under the blue sky, the crimson fire flame wolf, who was entangled with the middle-aged man, seemed to have sensed something. Suddenly its expression changed. It let out a miserable howl towards the sky, and then it gave up on the middle-aged man and flew towards its own cave. Just a moment ago, the crimson fire flame wolf suddenly couldn't feel the aura of its child. Immediately he was shocked and furious. He desperately rushed towards his own cave. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, forming an arc. With a wave of his sleeve, he caught up to the crimson fire flame wolf and laughed loudly. "Crimson fire flame wolf, the outcome of the battle between you and me is uncertain. Why do you have to leave?" As he spoke, the middle-aged man pushed out with his palm, which carried a powerful force as it turned into a huge palm and slapped towards the former. His body flashed and barely dodged the middle-aged man's casual attack. The crimson fire flame wolf's eyes were filled with a blood-red color as it roared, "Scram!" As it spoke, its entire body erupted with blazing flames. It turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the latter. After not being able to sense the child's aura for such a long time, the crimson fire flame wolf was on the verge of going crazy. Sensing the crimson fire flame wolf's furious attack, the middle-aged man's expression changed. He could only temporarily avoid the attack. Without the middle-aged man's obstruction, the crimson fire flame wolf's speed increased a bit more. Wherever it passed, the flames would not stop. The middle-aged man frowned as he watched the crimson fire flame wolf's figure disappear into the distance. He calmed down the remaining origin monarch qis in his body, and then his figure flashed as he left this place. My soul force clearly sensed that it was just a tiny fighting monarch, but it actually killed the little brat of the crimson fire flame wolf. His body rushed forward. The middle-aged man's mind was stirred. I wonder if that person has obtained the red fiery spirit blood.